Hey guys, it's Damien. I'm back from the Brittle Box Candy Company. It's been a little bit of time that I've posted a new video in regards to selling online. Really quick, if you haven't seen any of my videos, I own and operate the Brittle Box Candy Company. We are a family-run business. We started several years ago. My wife and I started very humbly, very small, out of our kitchen in our home, and then grew into a larger facility, and we're now a commercial licensed and inspected facility. So what I've got really quick is I've had some requests in regards to putting together a really short video in regards to labeling, packaging labeling for food products. If you are starting some type of a small business, there are certain guidelines that need to be met on a federal level as well as state and local. There's laws that are in place in regards to the proper labeling of your product in regards to nutritional information, ingredients, barcodes, if you plan on reselling them or if you're selling them to a retailer to resell. A lot of retailers, a lot of mom and pops don't actually have the barcode systems in their little small shops. So if you're looking to sell to them, your label doesn't necessarily have to have that barcode unless it is something that the retailer requests. If you're going to like a Walmart or you're going to a Kroger or a Publix or a grocery chain or a store, 99% of the time they're going to request that your packaging have some form of a barcode on there. Now, everything that I talk about in my videos, and I don't beat around the bush. I try to get to the point and make it really quick and relay some really useful information that I've learned for over the years that I've been doing this. And so I try to get right down to it. When it comes to barcodes, just from experience, I would recommend that you make sure that the barcodes are legitimate. A lot of times if you go to Google, the best way to find one for you, I'm not going to get into who I actually use myself, but the specific company that I get from my barcodes, I don't get paid or get promoted for promoting them. But if you go to Google and you type in barcodes or the phrase need to purchase barcodes or barcodes to be purchased, you'll pull up a whole handful of companies. Most of them are reputable, but there are some that the barcodes won't be legit. If you go into like a Walmart, there's a specific type of barcode that they request. So if you're going into a certain retailer, I would recommend you find out specifically from the retailer what it is that they're going to use, because not every barcode is legitimate, to be honest with you. I've kind of learned that myself. But I would recommend you do a little bit of homework and find out which ones are legit and not. So with that being said, I'll get right down to it. Labeling. Our facility is actually in where we are in the state of Georgia. Our facility is inspected by the USDA. We get a Department of Agriculture comes in, and they will double check everything, and they check us from head to toe. One important thing that they do look for is the labeling. So that brings me to what the video here that I'm talking about. But there's also certain criteria. There are certain bits of information that must be on the label. If you are making a food product, let's just say you're making candy, whatever that candy recipe may be, you need to make sure, I'm going to show this, but I don't know if you'll be able to see it. If you can't, I apologize, but let me try to get this up specifically. These are labels. We print our own labels. And really quick, I will get to all of this, but really quick note, if you have the capacity to print your own labels, if you can make them yourself, I would highly recommend you print them. You don't need to have a special printer for it. Just as long as the information is presented on the label and it's on there to the standards and the guidelines that the USDA recommends, make sure that you print your own. It will save you a ton of money. If you have someone print them for you, I will tell you right now, I know the industry, I know the label companies. I've already priced out labels. I've been doing this for about 10 years now, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, something like that. And I can tell you, having someone else print your labels, you're going to look at about a 20 to 30 cent a label price point. That's going to be quite a bit of money on a per package product. What do I mean by that? If you have a bag of candy and you're going to put a label on it and you have someone else print it for you, each bag is going to cost you 20 to 30 cents additional. That may not sound like a lot, but if you're selling 1,000 bags and you've got a retailer who orders 1,000, maybe 10,000, 20 cents turns into a lot of money. I print these anywhere from 2 to 5 cents. 2 to 5 cents. And if this is the way you want to go, I would recommend it, because all you have to do is put this information on there. Let me show you really quick. This comes off, and that's your label, okay? And again, I'll get into the details, specifics about what this is. But this label right here cost me about 2 to 5 cents. When I'm selling 1,000 to 5,000 bags, it's not going to be that much, and it's not rocket science. Now, I use the label company online that I use the templates for is Avery, and I'm not getting paid for this or saying this. I don't get reimbursed. I'm just telling you who I work with and who I've done business with. I use their online templates. It's at avery.com. Very simple. It's not rocket science. Once you've done like 5 or 6 of them, you'll have it down pat. Okay, so this is the label. Okay, if you're going to sell your product to someone else who has a retail storefront, if it's a mom and pop, and what I mean by mom and pop is it's not Walmart, Target, or some big name brand, national chain, that's a mom and pop. Most of them do not have systems within their store that do this type of scanning. So the barcode itself is not a mandatory thing. You don't have to have this on there. The USDA does make sure that you have the following. And if you want to watch this video over and over, if I'm going too fast, please watch it again and take notes. This information can also be found online. It's a little, you may have to do a little research to get it, but I'm trying to present it here for you to make it super easy. So up here on the top, this top portion is a little bit of information about who we are, a little history, a little bio, if you will. This is not mandatory, but this is a little bit of information. If you are like a husband and wife, like my wife and myself, we put a little bit of information here about who we are, how we started our company, the little story behind what we do. So this is something that you can add on. Again, it's not a mandatory thing, but it is kind of cool. I mean, a lot of mom and pop businesses, small businesses that are just trying to get started, if you've got a story behind your product, put it there, okay? You put it up on top. Now, this is the important part. You need to have the name of your company up here. These, let me see, these like 5 little lines right here are going to have the name of your company, the brittle box, the address. It needs to have the address as to where the product is coming from. There's a reason for that. If, for instance, you produce a product and your retailer sells it, somebody happens to get sick, or there's an allergy, someone has an allergen to it, and they get sick, they need to be able to traceability. They need to trace where that product came from. If you had all of this information and no address, no phone number, and no website of some kind, which we have on there as well, website, if you don't have that, number one, the retailers won't take the product. They're going to send it back because they know the standards, and they know that the information that needs to be presented on the label. But if you go to a mom and pop store and someone happens to get sick or gets ill with your product, they want to know where is it coming from. If you don't have any type of address or form of identifying at what point was this product made, where is it coming from, that's going to cause problems, okay? And it's also just to think about it yourself. If you were consuming a product and you happen to get sick and you just wanted to contact a facility, maybe there was a recall, maybe an ingredient was bad. You wanted to bring that to the attention of the facility that makes it. That's why that's there. So at the end of the day, just think about yourself. If you were purchasing your product, you want to know where it's coming from. Also, if it was a really good product, you want to know, hey, where can I buy more of it? Maybe I can get it directly from them. So that is a mandatory. You got to have an address, an origin of production, I believe is the terminology. It's been a while since I looked at the actual terminology for the book itself. It's been years because we use the same label now. But I believe it's like origin of production. So where does it come from? That's where that's from. Now below that we have our website. And again, I apologize, this isn't very detailed here, you can't see it, but right here you have your website, whatever it is, www.wemakecandy.com, whatever it may be. Below that is the super important part. That's the ingredient listing. Okay, There are guidelines on that as well. When you're producing a food product and you've got 7, let's say you've got 7 ingredients. The ingredient that is the most to the least in the ingredient in the recipe itself needs to be listed as such. For instance, this is for brittle candy. The first ingredient is sugar. We use sugar. The second would be corn syrup. We use corn syrup and brittle. And so on, all the way down to whatever it may be that's in there. Sugar is the #1 ingredient in our candy brittles. There's a lot of other candies that we make, but sugar is obviously not the main ingredient in those. But it is in this. So you want to make sure that that's on there as the most used ingredient in that specific product down to the least used. Once you're done with that, then you've got your allergen warning. Your allergen warning needs to contain certain allergens. If your facility produces, deals with, if any of those ingredients come through your facility at all and may come in contact with other utensils, equipment, mixers, pots, pans, whatever it is that you may be using to produce your product, you need to make sure that any of those ingredients that touch any of that come through there, they need to be on here. And as a general rule of thumb, the USDA has a specific guideline as to what they want included on the label. So you would put the words allergen warning and then the list of those actual allergens that would be in there. So things like milk, eggs, peanuts, tree nuts, wheat, soy, those types of things need to be on the label. Just in case if someone, let's say, happens to be allergic or sensitive to soy products and you have something you deal with soy nuts, you want to make sure that that's on there. So to include the dairy, the milk, these are all kind of pretty much I don't want to say no-brainers because a lot of people may not pay attention to it. My family and I, we read labels on everything we buy. Basically 100% of the stuff that we buy, whether it be milk or anything else for that matter, it has those on there, those allergens. Plus, you just want to make sure, from a legal standpoint, you want to make sure that you cover yourself. That if there happens to be some type of other ingredient that you put on there, I know that I just found out recently that products going to Canada, I believe it was sesame seeds or sunflower seeds, is a allergen that they require on their products if you happen to send stuff to Canada. Just an interesting bit of information. Okay, so then there's nutritional information. This is, of course, everybody's familiar with this. This is a breakdown of the nutritional information of this recipe and of this product. Also, the package size of servings, the serving size, and of course the servings per container. This label is for a 4-ounce bag of our brittle. And our serving size is traditionally 1 ounce. 1 ounce of brittle is a good amount of brittle, but obviously it's a lot of sugar. So we have the per container serving on there, the calories, total fat, cholesterol, sodium, and protein. This can be done for you. There are companies online that the ones I would recommend are the ones that have to be registered with the FDA. They will produce the nutritional labeling for you. Some of them have packages, pricing, for instance, pricing packages. If you've got more than one item or more than one product that you need a nutritional label for this, they will charge you a set amount, and then you can either have like a year's subscription to the service they provide. If you've got 100 different candies, you've got 50 different candies. Some places charge you by label. If you have 2 or 3 items, I don't think you would need to subscribe to a service for a year to 2 years. If you've got a couple, just get them broken down. The way it works normally is that you would the facility will take a sample. You send them a sample of your product. They will break that down and give you a normally like a PDF file or a report that will show you the breakdown of all of the nutrients and nutritional facts for that product. So, and then lastly on here, what we have is an item number. This one right here is an item number specifically for this flavored brittle. We do quite a few different brittles, different variations. So the retailers like these as well because when they place an order, they can order them from us utilizing that item number. And then a best by date. The best by date can also be normally these companies that do the nutritional breakdown, you can request a shelf life study on it, and what they'll do is they'll test the shelf life to let you know what's the best by date. So what that'll do is you produce, let's say January 1st, you produce a product. You want to know how long can it stay on the shelf. How long is it shelf stable? How long can it stay in a edible form on a shelf before it would need to be removed or it expires? So those types of breakdowns can be done as well. Traditionally, these companies will do them. They offer them as a separate service. Nutritional labeling, nutritional facts labels are a little different when you're buying that service than a shelf-stable shelf-stable breakdown. Sorry, I was looking at something. So yes, you can get those services online, and there's a lot of reputable ones. Just double check to make sure that they are registered with the FDA in regards to their facility and what the services that they offer are meeting the guidelines of the FDA as well. So it is a little different. The only challenge is that a lot of products come in different sizes. There are some products that, how would I explain this? The best way to explain this is there are some products that you make. If you make something that's very small, this size label, which this is not a specific size label that has to be made this size for a product. If your product happens to be smaller, there are different types of label formats and ways that you can lay out a label that can be printed to meet the needs of your product size. I hope that makes sense. Basically, in a sense, the bags that we use these for are large bags. Okay, some products may come in a packaging that's this big, or maybe come in a little small packaging. There are different guidelines that you can actually get depending on the product. If you go to a grocery store, there are some products that will be labeled with an ingredient listing, an origin of production, the address and all that, but it won't have a barcode and it won't have nutritional facts. But it does say on the bottom, for nutritional information, please call a certain number, and then that phone number can have an automated service that will be able to break down what it is that the nutritional breakdown if a customer or consumer is looking for the nutrient facts for a product. Outside of that, if it's a product that's like a soap, a glycerin soap, things that are made from natural ingredients but are not consumed, you don't eat them, but it may be a lotion of some kind, those have a little bit of a different labeling process. They do have to have the ingredients on there, whatever it may be that's inside the soap or lotion or cologne or whatever it is that it may be, not exactly cologne. But that has a different type of, that's a whole nother video. So I've already taken up 18 minutes of your time. I'll wrap it up here. If you've got any questions about labeling and such, do let me know. Remember, there's federal, state, and local guidelines for operating a candy and food type of business. And I'm going to be putting together, I know that a handful of people have asked. I'll have a video set up soon when I have my consulting. We're going to do a little bit of a consulting business to kind of aid small business owners or people who are starting from home that are looking to go into a commercial facility, or some of those who are in a commercial facility, what they may need, and some of the steps and things that you need from licensing to insurance and so on. So I hope that video helps. I know it took up a little more of your time than I wished, but let me know if you have any feedback. Like my videos if you like them. I've got over 100 videos with a lot of great resources, and then my ebook I've been working on. It's a little slightly delayed because we've been so busy, but the ebook should be wrapping up very soon, and I'll let everybody know when I've got that. It's going to be extremely informative and recap a lot of great stuff. So thanks, guys.